Welcome to episode 6. Today, we're back at the Migration Museum in Adelaide. This is a great place to learn more about Australian migration history, and it's free to visit. It's also the perfect place to explore today's topic, the nation of Australia after World War II. We learn about the changes in government attitudes, from assimilation to integration, and finally, multiculturalism. Be sure to watch until the end of the video as we follow the journey of how Australia became the multicultural nation it is today. Today's episode is taken from part 1 of Australian Citizenship, Our Common Bond. We're going to have a look at the nation of Australia after World War II on page 9. In the aftermath of World War II, which ended in 1945, around 1 million Europeans were displaced from their country of origin. They had little or no money, few items of clothing or other belongings, and a bleak future in Europe. In Australia, concerns about post-war labour shortages, the reduced population size, and the ability of Australia to defend itself led the federal government to introduce generous assisted passage schemes to encourage more British and then other European migration. A wave of non-British migration came after World War II, when millions of people in Europe had to leave their homelands. Tens of thousands of displaced persons from camps across Europe arrived in Australia under an agreement with the International Refugee Organization. The slogan, "Populate or Perish," was used to help the Australian people to accept this large intake of migrants. This was also known as the £10 Palm program. British and other Europeans could take a ship from Europe to Australia for only £10. Let's take a look at the key words in this sentence. A migration wave is a period of time when large numbers of people move across borders, either entering or exiting a country. Australia's main migration waves include convict transportation, the gold rush, and post-World War II immigration. Migration is the movement of people away from their usual place of residence to a new place of residence, either across an international border or within a state. World War II was a global war that lasted from 1939 to 1945. It was one of the deadliest wars in history, involving more than 30 countries and over 100 million soldiers. World War II was fought between the Allies and the Axis powers. The Allies included Britain, France, the United States, the Soviet Union, and China. The Axis powers included Germany, Italy, and Japan. Lots of other countries also participated in the war, sending soldiers to the war zone to support the Allies or Axis powers. For example, because Australia was a part of the British Empire, it supported the Allies. Countries such as Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Croatia supported the Axis powers. Millions of people across Europe were displaced due to the war, leaving them with no homes and few options, making Australia an attractive destination for resettlement. Large numbers of Europeans came to Australia to build a new life. Many migrants established community clubs so that they could come together and connect with their culture. Anyone who was born in, raised in, or lives in one of the countries in the continent of Europe is considered European. Let's say the key words together. Wave, migration, World War II, Europeans. By the mid-1950s, significant numbers of overseas-born residents from previously unrepresented countries, including Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, the Netherlands, Poland, Ukraine, and Austria had settled in Australia. The assisted passage schemes continued until the 1970s and dramatically increased the number of European-born Australians, especially Greeks and Italians. In the 1960s, the Australian government realized that the policy of rapid assimilation of migrants was unrealistic. Assimilation means that migrants adopt the dominant culture of their new country. The non-English-speaking post-war immigrants of the 1960s and 70s came mainly from Southern Europe. They formed communities, mostly in cities, and lived near each other. They built religious and educational institutions, as well as social and sporting clubs, and supported their own newspapers, shops, and businesses. For most post-war immigrants, the idea of shedding their cultural heritage was not something they wanted to do. While they were grateful for the opportunities that Australia offered, they also took great pride in their own cultural heritage, the quality of care they provided for their extended families and other community members, and their capacity for hard work. They saw themselves as essential to the development of Australia. The Australian government responded by adopting a policy of integration instead of assimilation. Integration means that migrants adopt parts of the new culture while retaining parts of their own culture. By the 1970s, the post-Second World War mass migration schemes from Europe had ended, and Australia thankfully abolished the discriminatory White Australia policy. In the early 1970s, people began arriving to Australia from countries outside of Europe. The fall of the South Vietnamese government in Saigon in April 1975 caused a mass flight of Vietnamese refugees into nearby countries. Over the next 2 decades, Australia would resettle more than 100,000 Vietnamese refugees from various Asian countries. Australia began to accept migrants and other refugees from other non-European countries, including Malaysia, the Philippines, Cambodia, and Korea. Sri Lankan migrants, including Sinhalese and Tamils, arrived after the mid-1970s due to ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka. Multiculturalism was officially adopted as policy in Australia in 1978. Australia is made up of many different cultures, languages, religions, and ethnicities. In the 1980s and 90s, refugees from South American countries such as Argentina and Chile arrived in increasing numbers, as did those from the Middle East, such as Lebanon and Iran. Migration from the former USSR and Baltic states increased after the collapse of communism in 1989. The war in the former Yugoslavia in the 1990s saw refugees arriving in Australia from Serbia, Croatia, and Bosnia. In recent years, our migration and refugee programs have brought people to Australia from all over the world. A migrant is a person who moves to a new country to seek opportunities or a better life. Migrants can return to their home countries safely. A refugee is a person who flees their country due to conflict, persecution, or violence. Refugees cannot return to their home country safely without risking their life or freedom. In the 21st century, Australia has increased its skilled migration scheme and international student programs. China and India have become the top 2 countries from which temporary skilled migrants to Australia come to work or study. People have come here to join family, to make a new life, or to escape poverty, war, or persecution. Persecution means that someone is treated with hostility and ill treatment, especially on the basis of ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or political beliefs. Love is a powerful force. In fact, it is one of the main reasons people migrate. The family migration stream allows Australian citizens and permanent residents to sponsor the migration of partners, parents, children, and other immediate family members. High employment rates, competitive wages, affordable healthcare and public education, and lots of sunshine make Australia an appealing destination for people looking for a new place to live and work. Australia is the 3rd most popular destination in the world for international students. The international education industry earns Australia over $20 billion a year, making it one of Australia's top service exports. An asylum seeker is someone seeking protection because they have a well-founded fear of persecution because of their race, religion, nationality, gender, sexuality, or political opinion. Not every asylum seeker will be recognized as a refugee, but every refugee is initially an asylum seeker. In 2024, there were over 43 million refugees globally, half under the age of 18. Since 1947, Australia has provided a new home to 750,000 people under the humanitarian program. Fleeing persecution, war, and conflict, these people have been recognized by the United Nations Human Rights Commission. The diversity of Australia's population has increased over the last 2 centuries. Diversity is what makes us different, such as gender, age, language, disability, ethnicity, cultural background, sexual orientation, and religious belief. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics 2023, 30% of Australians were born overseas, and around 48% of Australians have a parent born overseas. Let's say the key words together. Migrant, refugee, persecution, diversity. Australia now draws migrants from a far wider range of countries than ever before. Migrants contribute significantly to Australia's economy by filling labour gaps, driving innovation through new business creation, boosting population growth, and often bringing specialised skills not readily available in the local workforce. Migrants introduce new customs, cuisines, and perspectives, enriching the Australian cultural landscape. Since the early 2000s, Australia's humanitarian program has continued. Refugees bring a lot to Australian society. People who have come as refugees have been successful in the arts, sports, media, science, and business. Research by the Refugee Council of Australia has also shown that people who have come as refugees are more likely to set up businesses than other groups. They play an important role in facilitating the development of trade and other links with their countries of origin. They value the education of their children very highly. More young refugees study than other migrants and people born in Australia. They contribute greatly to civic and community life. They volunteer, promote community development, and engage in neighborhood activities and events. By definition, refugees are survivors. They have survived because of their courage, ingenuity, and creativity. These are qualities which we value in Australia. Refugees or humanitarian entrants to Australia have arrived from Afghanistan, Iraq, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, and African countries, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Burundi, Mauritius, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zambia. This diverse and prosperous society enhances Australia's connection to the world. Australia is connected to the world through its active role in international organizations like the United Nations, strong trade ties in the Indo-Pacific region, cultural exchange with North America and Europe, and a large immigrant population contributing to its diverse, multicultural society. While we celebrate the diversity of Australia's people, we also aim to build a cohesive and unified nation. This means that whilst we respect each other's differences, we share common values and beliefs, such as trust that there are ways to resolve different views and conflicts peacefully, respect for human dignity, the freedom to act, speak, and think freely as long as it does not stop others from doing the same, commitment to the rule of law, a safe and secure community, good government that is efficient, transparent, responsive, and accountable to citizens. Australia's national language is English. It is part of our national identity. National identity is a sense of belonging to a nation based on shared values, traditions, and language. It can also refer to the public image of a nation. Australia's national identity is shaped by its diverse Indigenous population, British colonial past, and immigration from many different countries and cultures. In keeping with Australian values, migrants should learn to use English to help them participate in Australian society. To participate in society means to actively engage in the life of your community. It implies a sense of responsibility to contribute to the well-being of your community and society as a whole. It involves taking part in activities, interacting with others, contributing your skills and perspectives, and following societal norms. It includes things like voting, volunteering, joining clubs, working and paying taxes, or simply being a contributing member of your neighborhood or faith community. Communicating in English is important for making the most of living and working in Australia. Other languages are also valued, including more than 100 distinct Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages. Let's say the key words together. Connection to the world. Cohesive and unified nation. National identity. Participate in Australian society. Communicating in English. Let's review the second part of the text from the Nation of Australia on page 9. Remember, the questions on the citizenship test will only use the words from the Our Common Bond booklet. Let's read it together. A wave of non-British migration came after World War II, when millions of people in Europe had to leave their homelands. Large numbers of Europeans came to Australia to build a new life. In recent years, our migration and refugee programs have brought people to Australia from all over the world. People have come here to join family, to make a new life, or to escape poverty, war, or persecution. The diversity of Australia's population has increased over the last 2 centuries. This diverse and prosperous society enhances Australia's connection to the world. While we celebrate the diversity of Australia's people, we also aim to build a cohesive and unified nation. Australia's national language is English. It is part of our national identity. In keeping with Australian values, migrants should learn to use English to help them participate in Australian society. Communicating in English is important for making the most of living and working in Australia. Other languages are also valued, including more than 100 distinct Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages. Let's have a look at a practice test question. Why is it important for people living in Australia to learn English? A. Only native English speakers can become Australian citizens. B. English is the only language spoken in Australian communities. C. Speaking English helps people get an education and a job. For A, only native English speakers can become Australian citizens, we know that this is not true. Australia is a multicultural society made up of many different cultures and languages. Whilst learning English is very important, there is no requirement to be a native speaker of English to become a citizen. For B, English is the only language spoken in Australian communities, we know that this is not true. English is the national language of Australia, but Australians speak around 300 different languages, including many Indigenous languages. C. Speaking English helps people get an education and a job is correct. Across Australia, there are government-subsidized programs that allow people to study qualifications that are in demand in the Australian job market for free or at a cheaper price. TAFE stands for Technical and Further Education. It's a type of tertiary education that provides practical training and theory for specific jobs and industries. You can contact your state's TAFE to find out more about fee-free TAFE programs in your state. That's it for today's episode. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments section. I'll do my best to help in any way I can. If you found this video helpful, please click on like and subscribe to help me grow this channel. This will also help you see when new episodes are ready to watch. See you in the next episode.